Welcome back. This is delivery 3. By now, you guys should have had your material delivery 1 and delivery 2 taken care of. I'm giving you guys a little bit different view tonight. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek tonight on what we're going to do. In this session, we'll be doing the decorative handle. We'll be finishing the front piece of the bag, right here, this last quilting piece. We'll be putting the zipper into the back piece and the lining piece for that. And we'll be finishing the complete lining of the bag. And I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get started. We're going to be attaching the front panel C. I'm following along with the pattern on page 5. We'll be attaching the front panel C to the joined front panel A and B. This is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Just be sure that you line these up properly. It's going to look like this when it's lined up on both sides. That's going to be sewn at 1/4 inch. Be sure to back stitch in the beginning and the end. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and tape that so we can butterfly it open. And then go ahead and open the back side and just go ahead and open it up and press it down. You can remove your tape and start pressing that down. Okay, and then just make sure you're pressing it down firmly because you want those to stay in place. When you get to this area here, just push it down as hard as you can. It will stay in place when you put the top stitches on there. And then just turn it back around and then press it out with your fingers again. If you're struggling with them staying down because the tape isn't firm enough, you could also put your stabilizer on now and then come back and do your top stitching. That's one way of solving the issue. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I went ahead and got this put on the back. This piece right here just kept wanting to buckle up on me, and I could not fix that. And so my suggestion is just another tip, if you guys want to use it or not, you can put the stabilizer on and then do your top stitching on that last piece, just so that gives you the more ability. So what I suggest also is you're going to come down your 1/8 of an inch, come across here and back tack a couple of times, and come back up here and back tack a couple of times. So I'm going to start out here and I'm going to back tack. I just want to make sure my stitches stay. Okay. Now I'm going to jump over here so I can do my 1/8. There we go. I'm going to back tack again and go forward. Then when you get down here on the bottom, you're going to repeat the exact same thing. Just make sure you're before your 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I got to bring it up just a little bit more. Because I don't know exactly what I think we're putting piping on there, so I think it's probably going to be about a 1/4 inch again. That's if you choose the piping method. So I'm just going to go ahead and back tack a couple times here. And then line myself back up to sew the 1/8 of an inch. And just be careful over this area here. Okay, then bring it back down so you're out of the 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then go ahead and just back tack a couple more times. Now, I'm going to tell you one more thing, okay? I'm sure we've all done quilting, so I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with it. But see this here? You want to make sure that that is square. This little piece that's hanging off right there. You want to make sure that's square right there, but you don't want to detour from the actual pattern itself. My piece is, let me measure it here. It's a little under 6 1/8. Yeah, it's a 6 1/8. So you want to square this up from the top to the bottom, but do not take anything off, because the next part we're going to do, this is from my other bag we're doing the back, and they have to be the same. So if you take something off of this, it's not going to match and you're going to have problems, okay? So that being said, That's this piece. So now we're getting ready to do the back piece, and we're going to be putting the zipper on, the zipper tabs, adding the lining to it. Okay, so you're going to get your zipper out with your zipper tab. I already did one side. Okay, and don't forget to put your zipper pull on. That's really, really important, your zipper pull, because I can't tell you how many times I put a zipper together and I forget to put that zipper pull in there. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about because you probably have done it too. So go ahead and put zipper tape on the end of your tab. Take your tab that's 2 inches by 1 1/8 or 1 1/4 or whatever your width of your zipper is. I believe it was 1 1/4. Going to line them up so they're straight. And we're going to be sewing 1/4 inch seam there. I did put some reinforcement tape on the back of this particular zipper for this because it is the back pocket. I know Ginger from Lux Hardware has a pre-order going out for that right now. So you can get some of it from her. It's only like $1.20 a roll for 45 meters. So you can order that from her. It's Lux Hardware from Ginger. I ordered some black and white. I have some left over because of my leather work. It's called cold fusion tape or reinforcement tape. They all have different names, but she's selling that right now. It's like on her 3rd page from her pre-order. So go ahead and let's put this down here. You need your hump jumper. I tell you what, sewing on this flatbed is so much different than my cylinder arm. I prefer my cylinder arm, but I wanted to give you guys a good share on this video. Okay, remove your threads. I'm going to put a piece of tape on there so I can fold it over. What I like to do is I fold this over in the middle where the zipper tape is first and then walk it across. And then go ahead and I have to mark my 1/8 inch because the sewing machine doesn't have the right feet for it for making 1/8 inch. I'm just hoping my hand is not in the way. Okay. Okay. Now we have both of our tabs on. You have your zipper pull in the middle. Now with an erasable pen. This is a Frixion clicker that I'm using. Somebody else asked about it in one of the other videos. So you want to line up your tabs and line up your zipper. And you need to mark your centers. And do that on both sides. And do the best job that you can. Okay, then I like to just go back and double check it. Making sure that it is centered on the same marks. And then I turn it over and also do the same thing. So your centers are marked. The next step is to take your back panel piece, and you're going to have tape up here, okay? Get your tape on there and then remove your tape. Okay, now just pay attention here, okay? Your zipper always needs to go to that side, okay? When it's opening, all right? Just so you don't get yourself confused. So you're just going to put it lining that way and then put it down so you don't get it messed up, okay? Line up your centers and put your tape on there, your zipper tape. And then come back on this side, do the same thing. So make sure that your zipper is the 12-inch zipper. All right, so secure it in place real well. Just double check that your center is centered, okay? You're going to have a little bit excess on the ends for the tabs, so don't think you did something wrong. That's okay. That's the way she designed it. Get your zipper out of the way. And we're going to back stitch here also. Okay, so on the back side, you see your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, what I want you to do is bring it back to the front side, and you're going to run a piece of tape on here, because now we're going to put the lining fabric on there. And remember also, when you do your zippers, the zipper pull always goes that way. Now you're going to get your lining. The lining piece was 12 3/8 by 10 5/8. So I hope that you marked your centers on here, which mine is marked, okay? Now you're going to take it and put your center. It's always going to be pretty sides touching, okay? So pretty side, pretty side. Get it in the center and walk it across. Okay. I'll put a couple of clips on there just to hold it in place while you're sewing. Okay, now we're going to flip it around to the back side and we're going to go right back on that same line. We're going back on the exact same line, being sure to back tack in the beginning and the end. Well, technically you only need to go where your lining is, so I'll bring it back up a little. Sorry about that. Okay. When you get close to the zipper, stop what you're doing and move your zipper out of the way. We get to play with the zipper jig again. So, I'm going to bend this forward and fold it. I'm going to bend this forward and fold it. Okay, you just want to pre-fold it. It'll help it lay better. Okay. Okay. I'll flip it back over and we're going to put some zipper tape right here. Okay, press it down real well. Take your zipper tape off. Now we're going to flip it back over again. Now, you don't want to push too hard or pull too hard. Otherwise, you're going to mess up your zipper. And because you pre-folded it, it should just lay flat. Now, you take your 6mm zipper jig and just put it down there and press real well so that you're straight and lined up. If you don't like the way it looks, just bring it back up again. Okay? And then bring it back down. You could even maybe use the 7. I'm just using the 6. I just need to make sure that it's nice and straight. Okay? All right, now. You still can use a zipper jig, even if the zipper is open. Because basically all you're going on is that zipper line. Just making sure that it's all straight. And once you like it, then close your zipper back up. Turn it back over. Press it down again, just so you have a good press on there. Now we're going to put some more zipper tape, because we're going to be folding the lining down. All right, before you take the tape off, just go ahead and turn it around towards yourself. Pull it down lightly and then just kind of finger press it so it's in place. Give it a couple presses. You can even use a zipper jig for that. Okay, if that's the way you like it, turn it back around, remove your tape, pull it back downward, and then just press it with your fingers again so it's holding the tape. Don't ever force any fabric next to the zipper, because it will end up in fatality. Okay. Don't do what I did and get excited and flip this up. Because now we need to come back and sew our 1/8 of an inch seam allowance right here. Okay. So it's going to be 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on this. Now, I'm going to put a piece of tape on the back of this. Okay. Remove your tape. Your center should already be marked in the center. Put it in the center and the back. And make sure that your zipper is tight so you don't get a bacon zipper. Bacon, bacon. Every time I hear bacon zipper, I think of that commercial on TV. Bacon, bacon. All right. Move your zipper out of the way. Switch it over again and do the exact same thing. Just keep your zipper straight. You like, if it gets wonky right there, you don't want to tape that on there because you're going to have a wonky zipper. Bacon, bacon. Bacon zipper. All right. I'm going to go ahead and just finger press your fabric down. Check your work. Make sure that you like it, which I do. Now we're going to go back and we're going to base a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on here. And I have to turn this way. You can back stitch in the beginning and the end. To stay within 1/8 of an inch. We don't know what's going on the top, but I'm pretty sure from the bottom it's 1/4 inch seam allowance. I hope you guys are getting caught up. You can work at your own pace, but just a reminder, the class closes on the 30th. So the last delivery is the 22nd. And the class will be closed on the 30th. So be sure to share your work to influence others. That's what the instructions say, so that's what we're doing. She didn't say anywhere to close this at this time, so I'm not doing anything if it's not on the instructions. Same thing with clipping your edges here. Just leave them alone until delivery 4, okay? All right, that completes that piece. Now we get to have some fun. The mystery decorative handle. I'm going to show you how to make your own buckle out of your strap sliders. I love this strap slider. All right, this is what we're going to make now, okay? And I really, really love this strap slider. That's what I always use for everything, okay? All right, so you need your buckle. You need a punch. All right, so we're going to get to our center, which on my ruler, I believe is 7 1/8. Okay, let me check the other side too. Yes, that is 7 1/8 also. All right, what she's instructing you to do is take your buckle slider and lay it in the center where you just marked it. Mark a line up on the tip. Okay, I'm going to show this to you on video. Close up, okay? So, you're going to take your buckle slider and mark this, put on the center. You're going to take a pen and mark underneath your buckle, which my line is right there, okay? Then you're going to come back from that line you just marked and mark 1/8 of an inch down from there, okay? I hope you're getting it. Okay, so one more time. I'm a visual person. Okay, your buckle sits on the middle line that you marked, the center. You're marking another line right there, which is right underneath the buckle head, right here. Then from that line, you're going to come down 1/8 of an inch. You're going to find the center of your strap, which should be 3/8. Mark the center and then check it on the other side. I always double check all my measurements. Okay. So you see that little square right there? We're going to be going right there with the punch in the center of that. So then she tells you in the center, punch it out. So just to re-clarify, you're going on the second line down, the one closest to the center of the buckle, and punching it out, okay? All right, that's done. Okay, so now you have your hole on the left side. You're going to take your strap and go up into the hole. And you're going to put your buckle slider into that little hole, your little buckle piece. Okay, so he pops out. Okay, he's popping out now, and you're going to bring it back down again. And then she says, pull it forward 1 time tight. There. And there we go. That's your buckle, decorative strap. Just double check that it's centered. That's 7 3/8. I'm sorry, 6 3/8 and 6 3/8. So there's the center, okay? So now we have, because I'm making 3 bags, okay? So I have 2. Now, I want to show you guys something, okay? These are those buckle sliders. You guys were asking me why my buckle slider works so nice, and you were jealous. You don't need to be jealous. You just need to go buy some. I get these from Gold Star Tools. and I buy them in bulk. But that's my buckle slider, okay, that I use on my adjustable strap. I'm also going to use this on my buckle. You ask how? Why? What? Oh, cool. Just buy a bunch of junk buckles that you don't like or you don't think you're ever going to use. And what I do is I pop this middle piece out. Sometimes you need a little guidance to get it going. So I pop that little guy out right there. So pop that up. Don't take it too far up because you have to bend it back down, okay? Okay, that's your buckle. Your buckle pin. You're going to take your buckle pin and put it back on. This now, you're going to turn this into a buckle. Okay, you're going to put it back on this buckle now. And you're going to pinch it down so that this piece is on there. Sometimes you do a little bit of force. And then sometimes you just got to pick it up on the other side so it doesn't come off, and pinch it from both sides. Then you always have matching accessories. I'm big about matching accessories. And get your pliers and pinch it in place, and that's it. It's not going nowhere, okay? So now you have a buckle. So let's do this again. Okay? Take your buckle, come up from the back side, put your buckle piece in there, bring this in here like this. Make sure your buckle piece is centered from the back and give it a nice tug. There. Okay, see? So now you're in the center. Okay? Easy peasy. It's pretty. Matches your accessories, all match, okay? All right. Now we're going to go to page 9, which is going to be the final assembly of the lining from the PDF. So let's get started on that. Okay, so you're going to need your recessed zipper. I marked the back and the front because you want this to be on the back. Your zipper is always going to the left, okay, on the back side. Your centers need to be marked. You're going to need your lining contrast bands. I did go ahead and put stabilizers on mine. I marked it at 3/8 of an inch up and 3/8 of an inch on the sides. The piece of stabilizer I put centered on there was 16 by 1 1/8. I did go ahead and mark my sides here, so I came down 1 inch for the 1/4 inch, and I marked up here at 3/8 because I'm going to go over to the 1/4 inch as directed in the instructions. I have my 3/4 of an inch line marked for my folding, so that's ready to go. And then you need your centers marked and have them taped, ready to go. We have 4 lining panel sides. You have 2 right sides and 2 left sides. I went ahead and got one already finished offline so we can save a little bit of time. I did the front one. When you go to do this front one, you need to tape it down and just kind of push this out of the way. Don't let it win. Remember, you're the boss of your fabric. So that is ready to go. The centers are marked. And I also have it marked up here for the 11.5 inch recessed zipper for the centers. So to get started, you need to tape your sides. If you don't want to tape them, you can just clip them. Okay, so you need to remove your tape. And then what I like to do is I line up my corner first. So that's squared in the corner. Give it a pinch with the tape on it. And I walk it across up here, and I like to put a clip. Okay, and then I just hold it here in the other corner, and I just walk it across. Making sure you get it in there really good where the zipper is. And just keep walking it across all the way down. And then just make sure that this is squared up here. Put another clip. And we're going to be sewing these at 1/4 of an inch. And I like to always go the same direction. So we'll be sewing 1/4 of an inch from the bottom up. Okay. Again, this is 1/4 of an inch. You could have on your walking foot or your zipper foot. I just have my zipper foot on because I do better 1/8 of an inches with it. So it's 1/4 of an inch, back tack in the beginning and the end. And now we're going to turn it upside down because like I said, I like to all go the same direction. That's where my zipper is. So just take your time going over your zipper. And I like to back tack once there. And then back tack at the end. Go ahead and snip your threads. If you choose to use tape, I'm using tape. You can glue it, stick it, just fold it. Because now we're going to flip it open. And we're going to sew a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Press it down well. And do the same thing on the other side. You can put it on the inside or on the outside of that seam line. It's up to you, whatever works for you. I generally will go on the opposite side of it, so that when I get ready to flip it up, I can go ahead and just do it with my hand first. Just give it a dry run. Press it down with my fingers. I like waterproof canvas because once you hit it, it just kind of stays. Okay, and do the same thing on the other side. You're going to pull it back. Same thing. You're going to take your other piece now, and you're going to get the center from the bottom. I saved this off here for you guys. You need to center your bottom. So fold it in half and center it. This is just a trick that I've learned before in the past, but I think it's really beneficial when you're sewing this type of lining together. So you have your centers together. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this, okay? What I like to do now is remove my tape. Now, just so I know that they're going to be the same and my centers are lined up, I'm going to fold this right here. So I know they're going to match. No matter what, they're going to match. Okay, and then just go ahead and walk that one the rest of the way through. Give it a nice firm press for your tape to hold down for the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, now turn it around the other way. Remove your tape. Okay, line up your centers once again. You can even overlap them if you need to, just to make sure that they're lined up. So make sure this one's lined up down here, and this one's lined up down here. So you take this and fold it forward, making sure that those line up. Okay, you want these to line up. It's probably hard to see with this pink color, but these are going to line up and these are going to line up. Okay, I hope I didn't confuse anybody and made that very clear. So once you have those lined up, you go ahead and just press it down, give it a nice firm press. We're going to be sewing a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Let me just see if I can get this one more time on the camera for you guys. This one's already finished and my top stitching's on there. You want these to be exactly the same, okay? Because if they're not the same and you go to sew them together, it shows on the bottom of your bag. So you're going to be sewing a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and you want these centers to be lined up. You want these to be the same, okay? Go ahead and sew the same direction. It's 1/8 of an inch, back stitch in the beginning and the end. I want you to get out your recessed zipper. Now what I want you to do, you're doing the back. The zipper is the back piece, okay? So remember I said we're going to mark the back. This is your zipper. If it's sitting inside your bag, the back is in there. You always want it like this. Okay, look. This is inside your bag sitting like this. So you always want it to zip that way in the back, okay? So now what we're going to do, remove your zipper tape from the back. Make sure it's secured on there well. Okay, line up the centers on both sides. All right, so here I have at the 1/4 inch mark 2 3/4, and here I have it also at 2 3/4. Okay, so it's centered. I love zippers, but I don't like them when they're buckly or wavy or your recessed zipper's weird. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to tack this on at 1/8 of an inch. So basically, you're just tacking it in place so we can put the next part on, okay? Back stitch in the beginning and the end. Okay, remove your threads. Now you're going to take out your lining contour band. It doesn't matter which one you pick, just pick one. Make sure that those are centered and you have tape on them. And remember, I have a piece of stabilizer here so that it doesn't get wonky on me. It's 16 by 1 1/8. It's 3/8 of an inch up, 5/8 of an inch down, so that it's centered in there so it doesn't get in the way either when I'm sewing, okay? So make sure you have tape on there. You're going to go ahead and remove your tape. Okay, and you put that in the center mark and walk it across lightly. Don't stretch it. And you should end up over here exactly at the 1/4 inch mark, which I do. Okay. Put a clip into place there. I'm going to mark where my recessed zipper is because this machine doesn't have an automatic hump jumper. So I have to put one in there. Okay, and do the same thing here. You're going to walk this across, all the way across. If you have a little bit excess there, then you just need to, the 1/4 inch mark should line up there, so you just have to walk it across carefully. You don't want to buckle it, okay? So there. We are good to go. Tomato, tomato. All right, and then mark again where your recessed zipper is, because you do need a hump jumper right there. Okay, so back tack. Okay, pull that off. So pay attention to the instructions for this, okay? With your recessed zipper there, it's always going to be like this. I had a brain fart yesterday. I don't know what happened. If you don't pay attention, you're going to end up like this. So your recessed zipper is going to fold down. When you zip it up, it falls into the bag instead of sitting like it should. Then because of that double slip pocket, well, you really can't get access to that pocket at all. So do make sure that you don't do a Kelly. And pay attention to the instructions. The instructions clearly state to put your lining side down, okay? So obviously I was just playing a Kelly yesterday, and yeah. You know, but I'm going to say, you know, the more you sew, the more you think you know everything there is to know, and so you don't need to pay attention to the instructions because you see a recessed zipper, and then your brain shuts off, and you're in autopilot sewing, and the next thing you know, you got a Kelly. And your recessed zipper is sitting inside your bag where it doesn't belong. So even me, I like to learn something every day. I like to try new things. Don't be afraid to try new things. But just remember, on this particular pattern, because the way it was designed, the lining comes down, not the lining contrast band. Okay, once you get your tape removed, you're going to pull this up like this. And you're going to pull it over like this and just pop it down in a couple of spots, making sure it looks good. It does to me. And bring it back across, do the same thing. Being sure that you don't pull too much, but you want to make sure that it's where it belongs. Give that a nice firm press. If that's what you choose to do, is put tape on yours. Now, make sure it's down straight. Okay, so now as indicated in the pattern, we'll be sewing a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Be sure to back tack in the beginning and the end. All right, trim your threads and come back and check to see if you have any weird things, like I had a skip stitch right there. So what I'll do after the video's over, I'll go ahead and just sew that up by hand and fix that skip stitch so you won't see it, okay? All right, so that's what this will look like now. That piece is finished. That's the back piece. Now you can remove this piece. Put your zipper aside. Put this aside. Okay, and we're going to do the exact same. Now, one more tip. You're going to be sewing this together like this. So just like I showed you before, double check to make sure that these are the same. And they are. Because you want to make sure these are going to be sewn together, that they match exactly. I hope you guys are following on that one. So give that a really good firm press so you know that it matches. Okay, and then do the same thing on the opposite side. These are all just little tidbits to help your bag look more professional and a more successful sew. Get that out of the way. Okay, so we're going to go back and double check this. Well, these guys are just wanting to party. Yes, you know, you sew long enough when you start talking to your stuff and giving them personalities. So you want to make sure that these are the same. Like this one is off a little, so I'm going to pull that back up so I can get it to match. Because I want, beyond a shadow of doubt, that to match up. So if sometimes they're off, it's because you didn't tape it right here. Okay? So I hope you guys understood what I was saying. If not, you can reach out to me in the group and ask. All right. I'm going to take... Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and sew a 1/8 of an inch top stitch. Again. Back stitching in the beginning and the end. Okay. So now that we have both of these done, we need to go ahead and sew them together with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on the bottom. And I'm going to be using my stapler instead of clips. Okay, so everything is stapled in place, and this is going to be a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I need to change my seam allowance on here. Okay, you want to make sure that you're back tacking in the beginning and the end. Well, and this is another change in the seam allowance. It is 3/8 of an inch. And make sure you back tack at the end. You're going to get these out of your way, the zippers. You don't want them in the way. Now we're closing up the lining, okay? The first thing I do, and I recommend, is always line up the center first, so you don't have your bag doing weird stuff. Come back down to the box corner side. Clip it there. Go back to the other side and clip it there. And I do this because I don't want a wonky lining inside my bag. Okay, you're going to come to the top here and line these up as best as you can. You want these touching over here. Now remember, this is also going to be 3/8 of an inch, but 1 inch before the end will be veering down to 1/4 inch. I always sew my lining from the bottom up, just for reference, you know. And do the same thing on this side. Okay, now I'm going to walk through here. I'm going to look at everything. I want to make sure that these two are lined up. You see, these need to be lined up. I don't know if you guys can see on the camera. Okay. These two need to be lined up. All right? So you want those two lined up. So what I do there is I clip it here, walk it down just a little bit, clip it there, making sure that it's straight. Then I get out my stapler and I just staple everything. I want nothing in my way while I'm sewing. Okay. Now when you get up here, what I like to do, we have a lot of bulk in there from these recessed zipper. Pull it out of the way. Gonna line the top up and put another clip there, or two. Okay. I want to make sure that these stay the way I have them right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and staple that there, but less than 1/4 inch. Making sure that those two still are lined up. If you don't like the way the staple went in, take it out and put it back in. If you don't want a staple, then you could go ahead and just go ahead and sew it with clips on there. Yes, it takes time, but nothing gets shifted that way. I'll come back on the other side and do the exact same thing. This is going to be a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, but when you get towards the top, you're going to veer off to 1/4 inch. And I'm sewing from the bottom up. Be sure to back stitch well in the beginning and the end. Okay, now when you get up to this 1 inch mark, right here, that 1 inch mark, you're going to veer off to this 1/4 inch over here, okay? So you can continue on until you get to the 1 inch mark. And I believe she has that indicated in the pattern as well. So, right next to the 1 inch mark, so I'm going to turn my pattern and come straight up so it's a 1/4 inch. And back tack well. And that's it. And repeat on the other side. We're doing the exact same procedure. Okay, and then I should be at the 1 inch mark again, which I am. Remove my seam allowance. And we're veering off to the 1/4 inch. Okay, you can open it up and just double check everything is right, and it is. That's the benefit of having a stapler. Looks great. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, about 3 to 4 inches right here, I'm going to snip this on both sides. Then I put a V-notch in there on both sides. Then we're going to tape this open. We're going to butterfly it back open again so that we can do our box corners. If you have another method that you like to use, that's your choice. Okay, and once you have your tape on there, go ahead and remove the backing. And stick your finger in here and butterfly that open so it's nice and flat. And then repeat that on the other side. Remove the backing. Now I'm going to reach my hand in here and get that nice and flat. If you don't like the way it's sticking, pull it up and put it back on. All right, while we're here, we're going to go ahead and line up our 2 lines, okay? Make sure that they're straight and correct. Okay? Now I repeat the same thing on the other side. So what you're going to want to do, you have these 2 lines lined up right here in the center, okay? You can go sew that the way it is now, or you can staple it, which I'm going to do again. So I like to put all my clips on there first. And then making sure that it's all nice and tight right through here. I'm going to put a clip right here. And another clip right here. That way it doesn't shift while it's getting sewn. Okay? Then we get out my stapler again. I'm going to staple it here about a 1/4 inch down. Do the same thing on this side. About a 1/4 inch down. Then come back to the center and just make sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that that's centered. Okay, that guy's done. I'm going to leave these 2 clips right here so when I'm sewing, it doesn't shift. Okay? All right, we're going to go back and do this side again that we already had started. Okay? Be sure to back tack in the beginning and the end well. Be sure to back stitch in the beginning and the end. And it's going to be a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm going to run on both sides. I'm going to do this. I'm going to forward through the next one. I'm going to go ahead and run 1 more line right next to the 3/8 of an inch line, just to have a stay stitch there. It's 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Back stitching in the beginning and the end. Now we're going to go back and we're going to stitch a 1/4 of an inch stay stitch and then trim it up. Go ahead and trim that up. I like to always test my zipper pull when I get done, just to make sure everything is correct. Not like it's going to change anything, but I just like to see the work in progress. So that's left leading zipper. Just pull it down. And there we have it. That looks really nice. It's going to be a nice size bag. Yeah. So that's what you see when you open up the bag from the other side. There we go. That's what you see when you open up the bag. And that is it. You did it. You made it through delivery 3. So today was really a lot of work on that interior lining, but we got it done. So the interior of the bag is finished with a recessed zipper. We finished the bottom parts of the exterior of the bag. We did the decorative strap. I taught you guys how to make a buckle out of a slider, and of course we finished the lining of the bag. So let's just recap real quick. We have our beautiful little buckles. We have the quilted front of the bag. We have the back of the bag with the lining pocket. And my favorite part is this lining. It is so big and beautiful. There's so much more to discover. We have one delivery left after this, which is going to be delivery 4. And we've gotten so much accomplished. I just want to show you guys a recap on what we got done. So we've made our adjustable straps. We have our decorative handles. We have the bottom front of the bag and the bottom back of the bag done. We have the lining done. We have our 2 handles finished and our gusset. So there's so much more to discover on our last lesson, which will be Tuesday, the 26th of May. Remember, when you guys get your lessons done, to share them in the group to influence other people. The group will be closing on the 30th, so there will be no more contact in the group because it'll be closed. You can always post in Shamballa Bags, and I love seeing your guys' work. It's so beautiful. All right, until Tuesday with the final delivery. I'll see you then. Choo-choo.